Smartschoolboy9 has recently taken the internet by storm as one of its most historically deranged and creepy individuals. He has shown himself to be a consistently horrifying and genuine threat to those around him, with speculated police investigations and endless cyber sleuths. But the scariest part about his presence is that no one knows who he is. Right, hello everybody, it's me, Dan Kijabo, and today we're going to be talking about Smartschoolboy9. Now, there's been a lot of chat about this bloke. Mainly, it's the video that Nick Crow made about him. It's like a 40-minute long documentary sort of video essay type of thing. And I think all in all, it was a pretty good video. I do have some issues with it that I'll cover, in this one. But the whole point of this video is that, once again, I cover it a little bit later than everyone else, just so I can get as much information as possible to give the most, I guess, educated view that I possibly can. So I found the first post that actually sparked this whole controversy, or led to this being, like, as widely known as it is right now. So before I show that, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because, as always, the support has been incredible. I think the last video, the subscriber, ratio was way higher than it's ever been, so cheers for that, and, yeah, I appreciate it. So here's the post. It stems from where all the greatest things on earth stem from. Reddit. Creepy accounts pretending to be kids. I came across a reel randomly, and it's led me down this weird rabbit hole of people using AI or dressing up pretending to go to school. They all seem to have high heels, check images in them. Is this an age play thing or something more sinister? Literally anything helps as I keep trying to look for answers. And then obviously with that text he linked a bunch of pictures of these Instagram accounts that he was talking about. The first of which is an account called Truthsticks11, the second of which is one called GirlChloe12, and the third of which is one called Smartschoolboy9. Now the first thing that you'll realize immediately is this guy is a nursing Sarah, right? Because this isn't even the half of it. All of these accounts are the same person, right? I'm sure you know that by now, but there are at least 10 of them. Like, these three, nothing compared to, the actual scope of what this bloke is doing. One of the other accounts is an account called Abdullah Shakir. Now, this account, just like the others, is run by the exact same guy, but for whatever reason, this one has a profile picture in my mother tongue. Now, my Arabic is a little bit rusty, but I'm reading something very religious, like, to Allah we belong, and through him we shall return. Something like that. I bet you didn't get that from any other video covering this topic. Subscribe to the channel for more Arabic trivia. I've just realized this video is going to get pretty dark, by the way, so I'm going to actually turn the light off in my room. And whilst I'm doing that, I might as well promote my Patreon. Go subscribe to the Patreon, where for only £2 you can join the Patreon-only Discord, where I'll be on call as this video releases. Just, pop in, say hello in that. Anyway, I'm not sure if Truthsticks11 was the first account that this bloke ended up making, but it was the first account that was widely discovered by everyone, and it's also the first account that exhibited the weird behavior that we see in the future. The owner of Smartschoolboy9 is also the owner of Truthsticks and every other account that has been mentioned, if I haven't already made that clear. But what's interesting is that on the Truthsticks account, he has called himself out on one of his other accounts.
So, that's the account run by a man pretending to be a boy.
So what this is supposed to be is a worrying mother warning everyone on the internet who follows her about fake accounts who are grown men, posing as young boys, right? It's a very dangerous thing. It's something that can absolutely lead to a lot of harm. So wow, what a great woman for warning everyone about it. Wow, what a saint. Because originally, Truthsticks was marketed as a mother and son duo. It was an account where the son would be posted a lot. It was an account where their, academic achievements would be gloated about by the mother. They'd post pictures of the kid in school doing tests and shit. But as time went on, the pictures of the boy became more and more distorted, more and more weird, and more fucking insane. Like, what even is this? Now, where it gets deep is that Smartschoolboy9 soon got comfortable enough and deemed it necessary and appropriate to post pictures of borderline simulated CP, right? That'd be pictures of, children or adults with more skin than anybody should be comfortable with, but they would all have AI-generated pictures of children's faces with the trademarked white face paint on and big bloated red lips. And one thing that brought all of the accounts together and sort of confirms that it's the same person running all of them is the weird obsession with high-heeled mini boots. Like, these are seen in almost every post of his. I managed to find an archive of 5 of these accounts, and it's about 1 gigabyte of just pictures, which might not sound like a lot, but to anyone who knows their shit, that is a fuck ton of pictures. Especially because the pictures are so low quality. They're like slideshows, basically. I'm just gonna click on a random one, and most likely it'll have those high heels in them, right? I'll click on this one, fuck it, and, oh, there you go. Look at that. High heels right there. Whilst we're here, we might as well see what he was actually posting on the account. Important keys to becoming a distinguished child child. What's within wins you more, not just looks and likes. My hair is growing back to how I prefer it for school, but it, nor my forehead that maybe I should show off a bit more, doesn't give me untouchable understanding. It doesn't even make any sense. I don't know what he's trying to show here, but the point is, this is what the mother and son account is supposed to be. It's so shit and so clearly fake, though, that I don't even know if Smart Schoolboy intends to make us believe that this is a real account. I genuinely don't believe that anybody could be so stupid to think that we are this fucking gullible. Even a 10-year-old kid would see that this is a fake account. Here's another one I've just clicked on randomly, and there you go. The high heels are right there, and God, that is such a strange face. And he seems to be giving advice on like how to get up in the morning and make the most out of your time and eat your breakfast. It's good advice, to be fair, but it makes me not want to eat breakfast because I don't want to do anything that this fucking freak does. Here's another post that I think is supposed to be from the perspective of the mother, who is giving advice to all of her loyal followers who just love her content so much. This is like the Ace family if it was actually good. Like, this is great advice, wholesome community, looking out for the predators. Fuck yeah! By the way, I've just found a list of all the accounts so I can actually detail to you how many accounts there were. There were TruthSticks11, Stefanie Schoolie, Abdullah Shakir, Smartschoolboy9, Mile S9, David London, New Girl 12, and those, just to be clear, are only the ones that we have managed to find. There could be more. And still, it gets even worse, because what's worse than simulated pictures of children? Real ones, right? Well, these accounts would also post real pictures of children every now and then. I'm obviously not going to show these pictures, at least unblurred, and just to be clear, these children aren't put in necessarily sexual situations or, you know, a sexual context, but it is just a straight up picture of a child sometimes, and then every now and then there's a bit of text next to it with some weird shite. We'll show the brunt of that later though, because it does get really important for the story. Anyway, now it's time to really hone in on the titular Smart Schoolboy 9. Why is this account in particular so much more disturbing and popular than all of the other ones? Well, it does something that none of the other ones do, which is actually show the user's face, or, you know, as much as they're willing to show of it. They're in the videos, if you know what I mean. I'll put some footage up now, and as you can see, he's done an IRL version of the white face and the big red lips.
Okay. So.
It's not a pretty thing to look at, to be totally honest with you. He also has a trademark sort of anime finishing special move where he just sloshes his tongue about like some weird fish thing. This is going to become a running theme, but I'm not exactly too sure what he's trying to get across with that. It's very disturbing, though. Like, I don't like to hear it. And in some of these videos, he would, you know, actually talk. Like, he'd actually show his voice. He'd put on a voice, but he is using his voice. And if you needed any more evidence that these are all run by the same guy, it's the exact same voice that he put on for the weird British mother.
Hey, let me know if you like school as well. Pretending to be a boy.
A lot of these videos, for whatever reason, were actually filmed in public as well. Like, he actually goes out in fucking Milton Keynes, which is a place in the UK just outside of London, and films these things. Now, this obviously means that there have been public sightings of him, one of which actually dated back to 1999. We'll get back onto that later because it's a very compelling piece of evidence. People also believe that they found his house, but again, we'll get onto that later. Sorry for edging you guys, but we need to stay on topic. It should also probably be noted that these accounts have like this weird sub-community within them that he's created. He's tried to make like an ant farm where they all communicate with each other like they're real actual school friends. Thanks, cute boy, for coming as invited to my school for this short speech. It was applauded and you said it was a cool surprise as you're shy, but you present really, really well, and your height of 5'3" or 4 with heeled mini boats on is a bonus. This is genuinely like, you know those fake police videos where they try to like get criminals to admit to their crimes or whatever?
Yo, my slime. I know you really don't know Madam like that, but I was wondering if like I could purchase something still, fam.
The running theme in all of them is that this one guy loves to cosplay as school children. Like, even Smart Schoolboy 9, I mean, the fucking account name is Smart Schoolboy 9. It's the most obvious I want to be a student in school again thing ever. Like, what kind of real kid actually names their fucking Instagram account Smart Schoolboy 9. Once again, it makes me question whether or not he actually wants to convince people he's real. I feel like he'd be a little bit less on the nose, right? A bit more subtle with it. I mean, he just seems so outlandish and cartoony and, like, villainous that I can't imagine he thinks anyone's falling for his shtick. The guy also posts pictures of children in, like, actual playgrounds as well. Obviously, if I show the images, they will be blurred. Obviously. Now, there is some speculation as to whether or not he has personally taken these images. I personally believe that he didn't, because there's no evidence to suggest that he did. I mean, a lot of them are so blatantly not taken by him that it's ridiculous to say that he did. I think the Nick Crow video is a little bit guilty of exaggerating things and making it seem as though he is personally taking these images, when a lot of them, to anyone who lives in the UK, are so obviously just like pictures posted on, you know, the public school website to show off a kid doing well in fucking mathematics or something. He's clearly just found a bunch of those, slapped them on the account and said, oh, this is my friend David. It's fucking weird. It's really fucking weird. I'm not saying it's normal or good. I'm just saying that luckily and fortunately, I don't think he's actually interacting with children in real life. Now, online is another story, because he is absolutely interacting with real children's accounts, which is genuinely disturbing. I won't show the kid, obviously, but Smart Schoolboy has commented, you have some cool shirts, but I have to wear school uniforms to school. It's nice, but casual isn't allowed, and it's quite hot here in the UK. As the month of June suddenly got warmer, the kid responded, your account is fucking terrifying, please delete it. Which is probably the most reasonable thing I've heard so far whilst recording this. Anyway, anime protagonist Smartschoolboy9 responds with, the account name is one of the many perverts following child accounts. Obviously, he's jealous and thinks it's clever to have a shitty profile pic and no posts or private so that he can send abuse to kids. I've modeled cool clothes and have a great life. So he's still doing this. He's still feigning this whole sort of vigilante, I'm here to expose the real predators and I'm just an innocent school child / mother. He does it again here actually with another kid. Another cool post, but be careful with some comments he receives. Sometimes at first there's indications that there's, say, 12 comments within half a minute of you posting, but then there's only maybe 3 comments there. That's because some bad people have obviously had their comments deleted before you read them. You know, comments by the account from earlier and such, it happens to most boys in our age group, but stay safe, stay cool, don't be dissuaded by creeps. Now, this might be some armchair psychology shit, but he's absolutely projecting, right? He is saying to other people what he is doing because perhaps he gets some sort of thrill out of it. I think he gets a genuine thrill out of telling people what he's doing and you know, them not being able to catch him, right? He's getting away with it, and he loves that. Do you like school? I do. It is good. I mean, if you ever needed any more proof that this wasn't an actual school child, then there you go. But look, this takes us back to the first Reddit post that, you know, popularized this whole thing, where there was an idea that it might just be age play. The fact that he's commenting on real children's, like, accounts, this is not age play. This is potentially genuine grooming or something more nefarious. To put it lightly, shit's getting real. Like, this is genuinely, potentially, really, really fucking serious. Because even if he's not doing anything, this is a grown man commenting on children's posts pretending to be a child. And that much is undeniable. And that much is fucking grim. But he's not just interested in schoolboys. No. He would never discriminate. He's a fucking creep towards girls as well. In fact, he's made another account as an almost female version of Smart Schoolboy 9 called Stefanie Stansfield.
Hi, I'm Stefanie. It's September in the year 2024. So, I'm back at school. So, yeah, bye for now.
This is his main female student persona. Here's a post from the archive where, you know, he posts a poem. He loves poems a lot. We get to that later, but there's a lot of poetry in this account, in this story. And like I said earlier, at the top is just straight up a real picture of a real child. Probably taken from some school website somewhere. Imagine being a parent and finding out that your daughter has been put on one of these fucking degenerate, terrible accounts from a potential predator. It's fucking horrifying. Like, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Like, just look at some of these posts, man. It's just weird. Like, he's being creepy on purpose here. Me at school, Stefanie Stansfield, 12, and then 3 more pictures of actual schoolgirls. It's grim. It's horrible. And you know what? I probably shouldn't be certain about the fact that he's not taking these pictures. I don't know for sure, obviously. I mean, realistically, the only way he'd be able to get all of these pictures is if he was actually a school teacher, which, honestly, that's probably worst case scenario. Could you fucking imagine if this bloke was a school teacher? One of the most telling posts on the account is this one where it says, "I can't sit still in class." I'm not gonna read that, but you can read it yourself, right? It's basically an undeniable bit of evidence that this is absolutely a sexual thing for him, right? It's not just cosplay. He is an undeniable, absolute predator. And you want to know what's really interesting about the poetry that he's posted on the Stefanie Stansfield account? Well, in the year 2018, there was a newspaper on the Streatham News Society with a segment known as the Poetry Corner, where every week or so they would display a poem written by a student. And one of the students who was featured on this Poetry Corner just so happened to be called Stefanie Stansfield, and she was in year 7, which for the American audience is about 12, 13 years old, which just so happens to be the same age as the character that he is portraying on the account. Hi to the Streatham Society. I'm Stefanie Stansfield and shy. Now this might be speculative. I don't talk to many 12-year-old girls, so I don't know if this is how they actually speak, but it doesn't sound very real to me. It sounds like a 50-year-old trying to write in a way that they believe a year 7 to act, or worst case scenario, how they want a year 7 to act. I've written a poem. I asked my half-brother what he remembers about the area. Then I put my thoughts onto paper. We're not going to read the whole poem, but remember the mention of the half-brother, because this will be vital later on.
There's even one image that David posted on his Schoolboy account, which shows another kid that he claimed to be on a playdate with.
Now, just to be clear, I'm not throwing shade at Nick Crowley. I think he's a good creator, and I think this is a good video. And maybe he doesn't really know for sure, but to me, this seems very obviously edited and manufactured. Right? It's a coincidence that he's never actually in the pictures with the children. It's always a picture of him and a picture of a child that has been probably taken from, once again, a school website somewhere. I mean, this picture of Wilfred, as he calls him, is like textbook school website picture. I'm not saying this to defend him, by the way. That is the last thing I want to do. I just want to negate the potential worry that some people have that he is interacting with actual school children on a daily basis, right? I don't think that that's what's happening. But once again, I can't say for sure. That being said, though, I think the most compelling piece of evidence for this not being real is what kind of fucking school would let that bloke in? What kind of school would let him in and around the children taking pictures and shit? Like, what? Is no one actually thinking about the stuff that they're saying? Milton Keynes is soulless, but they're not fucking stupid. What kind of school genuinely sees a large fat man with white face and red lipstick and goes, "Oh yeah, just let him in, he can talk to Wilfred, get paired up with him, man"? Wilfred has been struggling with Pythagoras theorem lately. I'm sure this fucking weird prick is gonna be able to help him out. There's no definitive evidence either way. Who knows? I'm just a wee city guy making an educated guess. Or what I hope is an educated guess.
And sure enough, after connecting a few dots, it would be revealed that this person's actual name was in fact David. David Alter, with the man being 59 years old. At the moment, it doesn't appear that David has any past criminal convictions or documented history of this behavior.
See, this here is probably my biggest issue with the Nick Crow video that got this whole thing so popular. I have yet to see any actual evidence that a man called David Alter is the one who runs this account. Yes, I do think that the continuous usage of the word David is strange, but it could just be some sort of weird strategy to throw everyone off. I think to make the claim that the man's first name behind the whole thing is David is a fairly substantial claim to make based on just how much David is mentioned. I looked into it myself to see if I could actually find any genuine evidence that David Alter is the one behind this account. Remember when I told you to keep in mind Stefanie's half-brother that she mentions in the poem? Well, that half-brother just so happens to be called David. This is definitely strange, right? This is weird. This is a big coincidence at least. So this either means that David has been maneuvering and planning this for years and decades, right? He's been putting on this act for a long time, or it means that he's gotten the name David and the name Stefanie from this poem. He's read it and he's come up with a character from there. I think that the former is a lot more likely, just to be clear, but I don't have any compelling evidence either which way. The bit about this whole thing that is the most chilling to me, though, is the other newspaper article by a man called David Alter. Now, the topic of this newspaper excerpt is how important school uniforms are for students. This is the most scary part of the whole thing for me. Like, that's mental. And once again, a lot of the verbiage and words used here are very strange, right? The way that it's phrased is odd. May I say, as a school pupil aged 13, that wearing school uniform is not as bad as Carolyn Irby. Just like the Stefanie Stansfield excerpt, in the very first sentence of these newspaper bits, they mention the name and the age. And the age is always 12 or 13, right? Something around that area. Coincidence? Maybe. There's a lot of these things happening, so it seems more like a pattern to me. Once again, it's from Streatham as well, so it's the same area as the last one. And to be honest, it's very well written, right? It's quite eloquent. It's not what you'd expect from the average 13-year-old. Even a smart 13-year-old wouldn't come out with something like this. It does seem as though someone older has written this, but these could be explained away very easily, right? It is possible that newspapers require them to start the sentences and paragraphs in a certain way, right? Maybe they're like, for readability, we recommend you start with your age and your name. And perhaps a parent has overseen their child writing everything, and perhaps they've made it, you know, a little bit better and trimmed the edges and made it a bit more adult, a bit more presentable, right? There are things you can say, and there are explanations you can give that don't involve Smartschoolboy9 being the author. But it is certainly a possibility, and it's definitely something worth bringing up. I don't really want to make many definitive claims. I'm laying out the evidence here and leaving the conclusion for you to make. The only thing that I'm saying for certain is that Smartschoolboy9 is a predator. He's weird and he needs to be stopped. That much is 100% fact, right? It's evident from the posts that he posts, it's evident from the comments that he leaves on real children's accounts, it's evident from the images that he makes, it's evident from every fucking action of his behavior. In fact, there's one video that I haven't mentioned yet, which I might play heavily blurred, where he's looking into a mirror and just wanking, right? The moans are there, it's awful, it's really disturbing to watch. It's by far the worst thing to come out of any of these accounts. Smartschoolboy9 is clearly a very mentally unwell individual, and that's not an assumption, right? You might be able to call it one, but I don't think it is one. Nobody with 10 Instagram accounts is mentally stable, let alone 10 Instagram accounts with this type of fucking content. He is mentally unwell, for sure, not a doubt in my mind. But that makes him more dangerous in my opinion, because it's just so difficult to predict his pattern of behavior, right? It's so difficult to find the intentions. It's so difficult to know exactly why he's doing what he is doing, and what he's doing in the first place.
As his personal accounts show us that he is fairly well-spoken and articulate. And throughout his problematic content, most of his bad grammar and strange verbiage seems to be his attempts at more authentically trying to replicate a child.
So that's interesting. He's shown a personal account that he claims to be Smartschoolboy9. I do think it's a little bit weird that he didn't caveat it with, we don't know for sure if this is him, because there is no certainty that this is him. He could be just coining and blaming this poor man, potentially, of being a predator. I mean, yeah, his name is David, but that is kind of the only similarity. Although, I will say, I've just checked his account, and on the latest post, there is a weird segment where he says this: she and I practically sprinted along the road and eventually decided to just walk it to the train station. And you guessed, she was very quick, even in her fave, black patent leather high heels with straps that I might just have mentioned before. I'll admit that even though it's impossible to tell for certain that this is him, it's really, really strange that the last post on his account mentions high-heeled boots with straps on them. It's a big coincidence at the very least. But once again, it is something worth putting in the video, right? But you can make your own conclusion. I'm not saying anything. I don't know if this is him for sure. I don't want to accuse some potentially poor old man of being a predator. Now, I feel like I've said this so many times at this point, but this is where, for me, it gets very interesting and very clear what this man's intentions actually are, right? I feel like I'm really getting a good understanding of this bloke's personality purely based on the stuff that he posts. Because people, obviously finding out about this account, message him abuse, right? They tell him, you're a fucking creep. And To some of these people, he responds. Like to this one, for example, he says, "You're a grown man, maybe looking for sex," which is a strange thing to say, certainly. In this one, a minor messages him, basically goading him about why he's gonna get caught, and that he's underage and to stop texting him, blah blah blah, pretty standard shit. To which he responds, "You're wanking as you text." He's calling them the predator. He's accusing them of being the fake kid. "You're obviously some dirty old fucker texting a kid." He also commented on one of his own accounts, like I said earlier, this weird community that he's made, with, "You are really sad, and if that's your name, David, be honest with yourself. You're 50. As you said elsewhere, you reply to me, a girl, as if I'm your buddy? No chance." Ever. I'm gonna play another segment from the Nick Crowley video where he explains what reasons he thinks Smart Schoolboy has for doing all this, and then I'm gonna give my opinion because I think that he's very, very wrong.
And he continued posting these predator exposés, along with other warnings about predators on the internet across every page he made, each of which being hyper-specific to his own predatory ways and fetishes. The things he accuses others of are blatant projections of his own dark vices. And I can think of 2 reasons why. Number 1, that this makes his account look safer to other parents and children. It gives the appearance that he's not another internet creep, because he's actively calling them out. It's a way to build trust in order to befriend and exploit kids. And number 2, he knows what he's doing is wrong, and this is his bizarre way of self-reporting, probably to make himself feel better about what he's doing. And it's obvious based on just how accurate these claims against others are to him. Does he wish he were a young boy in a school classroom, looking nice and being successful at school? Yes.
So I think that what Nick is saying is bollocks, right? And that's not his fault, right? It's just an opinion at the end of the day. But in my opinion, it's very different and it's a lot more sinister. So his first thing was building trust, right? Like I said earlier, I don't think that he actually thinks anyone is gonna fall for his shit. It's so outlandish, so cartoonish. The name is Smartschoolboy9, for God's sake. I personally really do believe he's doing all this just to fulfill his own sick, twisted, weird fantasy. Not to actually convince parents or children that he is an actual child. I'm not too sure on that bit though, because there is evidence to suggest otherwise, which I will get to later. So I think that perhaps there is some credit to that opinion. I think the thing about the guilty conscience though is completely incorrect. I don't think he gives a fuck about what he's doing. I think he is completely numb to the harm that he's causing. And I think he loves what he's doing, personally. I think it's the complete opposite. I mean, just like Nick said, a lot of the stuff he's saying is projection. He's saying what he wishes he was doing. And when he does those predator exposés, he's exposing himself, essentially. He's flat out telling everyone, hey, this is what I'm doing, and you can't fucking catch me. And I think that he's getting off on that. He literally texted a kid, "You're probably wanking as you write this," because he's wanking as he writes it. He literally posted a video, like I mentioned earlier, of him looking at himself in the mirror and wanking. Do you know the level of narcissism that it takes to do something like that? So when he posts stuff like up to 3 times as many sex offenders in the UK as previously believed, he's basically doing some Ted Bundy catch me if you can style bullshit. He's goading, he's getting off on the fact that he's following all these children and that you can't stop him. That's why I think the pictures started off with realistic children and slowly got more and more outlandish. He's wanting to see how close he can get to the line, how much he can goad, how much he can boast without getting caught, because the more blatantly creepy and freaky and illegal he gets without being caught, the more of a sexual thrill it gives him, in my opinion. He's probably in the comment section of all the videos on him. He's probably in all the Reddits that are trying to expose him, posing as someone who is trying to find the truth as well. Because he loves seeing people panic. He loves seeing people fall for his shit and get angry, and he's getting away with it all. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the comment section of this video posing as an actual child again. That's right, David, if that is your real name. I know you're watching this right now, so my word of advice: pause the wank that you're probably having to this right now, pause the gooning session that you're having, and chop your dick off. And whilst you're at it, maybe your head as well. Or at the very least, your tongue, so you can stop doing that weird shit that you're always doing. It's really, really strange. Here's another post of his that is definitely worth mentioning. It's one that went really popular. Truthsticks11 posted about Abdullah, which is the account in that first video he was trying to expose for being a man pretending to be a boy. And he says this: Abdullah Shakir, notice the lettering of the surname and what he is implying. Crimes against humanity. CHA. Crimes, humanity, appalling. It's all code. Cannibalism, hatred, active, indicating why he uses photos of boys showing bare flesh. KIR suggests his fetish extends to thoughts of killing in ritual, and 34 AC indicates to 34 other people that he and they are active in their accounts. Eventually, as he lacks photos of the boy, his followers notice something is wrong, using the same photo many times and trying to add photos of other boys. The arrogant man pretending to be a boy cannot pretend arrogance is a substitute for common sense. Now, this would be weird isolated, but when you take into account that this man loves to project, he loves to tell the internet what he is actually doing, and gets off on the fact that no one can stop him, this post suddenly becomes a whole lot creepier and a whole lot more disturbing. It implies that he, best case scenario, has intentions or fetishizes about killing. I can't believe, by the way, that that is the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is that we're dealing with a genuine, actual fucking murderer. The worst case scenario is very, very unlikely. If it was likely, I probably wouldn't be laughing and making jokes about it. There is also potential, to be fair, that he is just taking the piss. He's seeing how far he can go, because this is fun for him. He's having so much fun. I mean, what else could he possibly have going on in his life? Maybe if Milton Keynes was a bit less fucking boring and had some shit in it that people could actually have fun in, this wouldn't have happened, because he wouldn't have been so bored and might have just gone to a bowling alley or something, or a museum. Okay, this is the last time that I'll show the Nick Crowley video, because I want to address the video of Smartschoolboy9 chasing a boy in high mini-heeled boots. Supposedly, right?
This was the text shown on screen during a short video posted onto one of David's many accounts. And in the video, we see the man pointing the camera at himself, showing his full face of white makeup and red lipstick. This video is edited more egregiously than any others I've seen across his page, with multiple explicit images and huge emojis covering the majority of the screen. Though just barely enough of the footage can be seen that shows David as he turns the camera around, revealing a young boy. Who he then proceeds to chase after, giggling all the while.
Yeah, once again, I don't think it's a real video. I certainly hope that it's not a real video. And once again, that's not me defending him, it's more me trying to instill a bit of hope in, you know, the whole situation, right? I don't think that it's quite that bad. I don't think that Smartschoolboy9 has physically interacted with a child in such a way, at least publicly, on an account that he has, you know, owned. I don't think that even he is stupid enough to go that far and post it publicly and think that nothing could come from it. As stupid as he may seem, he is at the very least intelligent enough to do such heinous things on the internet with so many accounts and not been traced to a T. There's evidence to suggest that he's actually been doing this since 1999, so the fact that he's not been put behind bars or investigated properly suggests that he hasn't done anything overtly illegal or anything crazy like, I guess, public, if that makes any sense. I think given his past behavior of editing photos and pretending to be with real children, and also the low quality and the weird way that it's edited, suggests that this isn't a real video of them chasing a child, right? Because also, it'd be very difficult to run that fast in high-heeled mini boots. I know that sounds very silly for me to say, but like, that is a genuine thought that I'm having here. I'm not dismissing the fact that it could be a real video, but I'm saying that it probably isn't, in my opinion. Now, with all this, there's obviously been a horde of internet vigilantes and cyber sleuths trying to find out all the information and pick out all the pieces, and with that, inevitably, has come a lot of bullshit, and with that, inevitably, has come a lot of people who believe in the bullshit. So I wanted to do this last segment of the video to debunk a lot of the obviously fake shit that's going around, but also to show you all the most compelling piece of evidence to this being a real situation that I have managed to find. So this document has been going crazy popular on the Reddit that's trying to dissect all the information, and it's a load of bullshit. It's called the Smartschoolboy9 rabbit hole, and it's just full of assumptions with no evidence. Some of these assumptions include he used to work in a post office, his mum died in 1992, and the other day there was also one suggesting that he was raped as a child, and yeah, needless to say, those are all bullshit. That's probably why he deleted that last one. It's all just stuff that has been probably made up by weird internet detectives who think that they know everything, but they're just, you know, fucking 12 years old or something. They want to feel important, so they've made up some potentially interesting information, right? They're not to be trusted. Cyber sleuths as a whole probably do more harm than good. People also believe that they found his house, right? This is the street view of the house that they believe he lives in, and then they have shown the door in one of the Instagram reels that he has posted, and the door does look very similar. If you also look at the house, you can see that plant pot that is conveniently placed right there below the window. And sure enough, on one of his reels, you can see that exact same plant pot with what looks to be the same plant in it. And what's even more disturbing is that there is a play area right next to this gaff as shown by this Reddit user. And sure enough, on another one of his Instagram reels, he was spotted in this exact play area. However, one supposed Doncaster local has left a comment claiming that they've been to the house multiple times, spoke with the neighbors on video, and the house is empty and has been empty for months. So this either means that the whole thing is bullshit, it means that these videos were recorded way earlier than we think, or this user could potentially be bullshitting or wrong. All of which are possibilities. I don't know for sure, but once again, it's something that I feel is important to put in the video, right? But again, you make your own conclusion. Interestingly enough, David Firth, the animator for Salad Fingers, has spoken out about this, I guess. Colin was a local in the Doncaster, Milton Keynes sort of area, and someone asked him if they recognized Smartschoolboy9. He says, yeah, I think I remember him walking around town in the late 90s or early 2000s when I was at Hall Cross School. He never approached me though. If we're talking about the same person, he was a dark-skinned guy who would wear really sloppily applied makeup, like just a bunch of white and red makeup face paint, like it was just smeared across his face. I remember him wearing a white shirt and a school tie and had a strange posture, or walked quite lent forwards. That would make sense if he was wearing the high-heeled boots, right? That's the point of high heels, they make your waist go a bit more forward. He was quite tall and walked very fast. He seemed startled, looking all around quite paranoid. Probably walked past me a couple of times near Hall Cross School at the end of the town. That's all I remember. I'd say 1999 to 2001. Not the crossover I was expecting, to be totally honest, but this is a very, very interesting piece of information. But what's even more interesting is mentions of Smartschoolboy9 in 1999, before any of this was as big as it is right now. So this here is the really compelling piece of evidence that I've been sort of alluding to this whole video, because this fucking blew my mind when I actually saw it. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is actually real. Like, there are aspects of this that are really, really, really real. On the 21st of October, 1999, this post was made. Anyone who's been into the North Bridge Doncaster Tesco's on a weekday evening regularly will know what I'm talking about. At first, many months ago, I thought that it was just a released into community care weirdo with a severe skin complaint. However, last week, whilst working on the town centre lighting, I saw it without its charcoal blusher combination face covering, embarrassingly too small, half-mast circulation shopping, schoolboy's uniform, and ridiculously high girls' platform shoes. It was stood, without makeup, outside the Christchurch gents' toilets for hours on end. I saw police twice asking it to move on without arresting it, and it continued to frequent the toilets. A couple of weeks ago, me and the missus were going through the next checkout from this freak. As usual, most of the staff were taking their breaks early to see the show, security guards falling apart with laughter, and we heard the elderly female cashier ask it, whilst blatantly struggling to keep a straight face, "Do you have a club card?" It replied, very seriously, "Of course not. I'm only 13. I found out from another Tesco employee that it gives the same reply to that question every time. The guy is about 30 years old and over 6 feet tall, platform shoes included, and apparently a locally well-known rent boy. The other comical thing is that it appears to have very tight rubber bands around its clothes, making it look a bit like a trussed-up turkey. Weird. In short, it's like Monty Python meets Quentin Crisp meets Just Williams meets a very poor attempt at the black and white minstrel show. Somebody tell me I'm not seeing things and going crazy. Somebody else on this must have seen it before. Confirm to the others that I'm not joking. I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that this is absolutely referencing Smartschoolboy9. The description is exactly the same. So he's been doing this for genuine decades, and that much is almost undeniable. I don't want to make any certainty claims because I'm just, I'm being a bit careful, but it's almost undeniable. Just really strange behavior. I know I sound like a broken record here, but God, what a fucking weird mystery that this is. One good thing that has happened recently is that the Reddit I got a lot of the information from, a lot of the posts have been archived or deleted, which I think is a good thing because it's not the internet's place to discover mysteries and solve cases. It's the police's job, right? Give the information to them, not 12-year-olds on fucking Reddit. Cyber sleuthing has been a real genuine issue for a while now. I remember with the Idaho murders, it made it significantly harder for justice to actually be served. Even now, all these predator catchers and stuff, they're all shit. They're all such pish. Vigilantism is not usually a good thing, and it's never a good thing when it's something like this. Even the Nick video got like 5 million views. It made the whole thing so popular. Smartschoolboy9 got scared. He shat the bed and deleted everything, which could have made it a lot harder if, you know, it wasn't all archived. And by that I mean harder for the police to actually solve if something nefarious is going on here, which probably there is something really bad going on here. I just think people should be a bit more careful with, you know, the stuff they put out on the internet and the information that they're, you know, giving out. Needless to say, do not try to contact Smartschoolboy9, right? Don't comment on any post if he has anything public. Do not message him if you find anything that could potentially be him. Do not engage with any accounts that could be him or a fan account. Fucking weird fan accounts are happening now, so that's predictable. It's the internet, but it is strange and degenerate, and honestly, if you run one of them, never watch my videos again. I don't want you here. But yeah, just stay away from it all. Leave it all to the professionals, and hopefully this gets solved. Hopefully we know what's happened, and hopefully justice is served and all the harm can be dissipated. I think everything's out there at this point. All we can do now is just hope. But I think that's it for this video. As always, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought below in the comments, and yeah, I really appreciate the support you have been showing recently. For someone who's only been doing this really for like 3 months, the channel has been growing at a crazy fast and healthy rate, so I can't thank you guys enough for being on this journey with me. Like I said, I have a Patreon where for £2 you can join the Patreon-only Discord. Shout out to Riley, Kitson, Grace, Rob Lobster, Eleanor, and John Grubb for being patrons. Also, follow my Instagram. I don't mention it much, but I have one of them, and it's probably the best way to get in contact with me, or look at my very occasional stories. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Bye.